My name is Gasia Mikaelian, and I'm coming to you through KTVU Fox 2 News in the San Francisco Bay Area. We're talking about the holidays and how they're going to look very different this year. Let's talk more with Stacy DeBroff. You are the CEO of Influence Central. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Of
This
course.
is
So you've been talking to a lot of people, and we're all concerned about Halloween. Will there be trick or treating? My little boys are asking about the Santa Claus coming this year. So break down how the holidays are looking here in 2020.
absolutely, Gasia. So first of all, only 20% of American families hope to be able to trick or treat the traditional way this year, door to door with their kids. Between COVID concerns and people who are self-quarantining, it's really a mess as we think about former holidays and what's happening this year. So already more than half of the families either plan to sit this one out, they're not going to do Halloween at all, or they're going to celebrate with immediate family members at home. So get ready for those Zoom costume parties, maybe having kids go on scavenger hunts for candy around the yard. Some people are getting innovative and the kids are going to stand outside in their costumes and people are going to toss them bags of candy. But this is not Halloween as we know it. And it sort of cascades into the holidays with Amazon Prime already starting in the second week of October. Retailers are gearing up earlier for holidays. And so we'll see a lot of changes coming up in Thanksgiving and for the Christmas holidays.
I feel like I am being sold to more than ever before. Look, if I so much as bought a blouse from a website 4 years ago, they're sending me coupons and 20% off and, just which was always happening. But I feel like these days, every single day, I am getting something from retailers, big and small, urging me to either come into the store or more likely buy something online. Is this just a feeling or is it fact?
It's fact. With so many brick and mortar store closures, retailers have had to accelerate maybe 10 years worth of digital innovation to really focus on getting consumers to buy and to buy e-commerce or to do curbside pickup. And what it turns out in our surveying of consumers from March at the onset of COVID to the end of September, what do consumers want most? It turns out deals, discounts. And so retailers are really accelerating that move into e-commerce. And that's why you feel you're behaviorally targeted and you're getting a flood of offers to entice you to shop. Retail is really trying to make up in quarter 4 what's been a terrible year in terms of just we're buying less stuff outside of groceries and essentials. People just haven't been shopping. So it is definite fact you are getting bombarded with enticements to buy and enticements to buy online.
I think about so many of these retailers, again, big and small and locally owned, that really rely on the holidays. They rely on November and December to carry them through the very lean, early months, January's, February's, that sort of thing, but also just to fuel them year round. And without that huge, punch of, I'm having 12 people over for Christmas dinner. I need a prime rib roast, right? I need 2 tins of caviar. I need 6 bottles of champagne. That kind of spending likely isn't going to happen. How is this going to affect retailers?
You're right, with 75% of people already anticipating way less people around their holiday tables. And so that the gatherings are going to be a lot smaller. People are not going to travel long distance. There's going to be less flying. What we're going to see is holiday gift giving is going to move early and it's going to move online. So you might not be going to families Thanksgiving, but people will start shipping food, buying gifts. 30% of consumers anticipate shipping more presents this year than ever before. And they are going, but at the same time that everyone's shipping more, with the economic uncertainties, with the just dramatic number of layoffs, people are also watching their budgets. So it's very much a wait and see. There's going to be early shopping and shipping to get presents out to people. And there's going to be overall some less spending. So for retailers, especially local businesses that are relying on that huge burst of December, it's very much touch and go, and there just isn't enough data as to whether or not people are going to compensate for the feeling like it's been a year that's been so tough and they're going to try to give more, or there's going to be a cutback. But it's definitely going to be moving online. People are going to be driving to pick things up curbside from groceries. And with so many less people gathering for any of these holiday celebrations, it means that there's going to be a lot less cooking, a lot less entertaining. Those runs for massive turkeys and for alcohol and drinks to just get everybody together is going to be greatly diminished.
Right. I mean, I think about, the fact that my neighbors are somewhat elderly, they're using Instacart for the first time ever. And they say, it's safer to have it brought to me, maybe cost a little bit more than going to the store yourself. So I imagine companies that help, ease the transition from, real life driving to the store to having it just delivered. I know we've reported they're seeing a big boom, but my question to you is, do you think that habit will stick?
Absolutely. And I'm laughing because of all things, it is cross generations. So your elderly neighbors, who are most likely boomers, they are turning into that e-commerce. Like all of a sudden groceries can get delivered. And so to see that accelerating to a group that typically hasn't been as plugged in technology wise shows how widespread it is. And in terms of the habit sticking, psychologists say that it takes us on average 66 days to form a new habit. And when you think that we are now 6 months plus into COVID, all these behaviors, from the e-commerce to the ways we shop, the more isolation, the parents having to entertain kids at home, all these trends are become ingrained, and it's going to change the fundamental nature of our behavior post-COVID.
One of the things that I changed as soon as the pandemic started is I used to go to the grocery store, it seemed like 3 times a week, to the point where my sons would say, "Hey, Mom, we're out of bananas." And I'd say, "Oh, I'll get some bananas for you." And I'd go to the store and I'd pick up a couple extra things. Ever since the pandemic, so since mid-March, I have said, we are going to the grocery store once a week. And guess what? If I don't bring it home and if it runs out in that meantime, you don't get it tomorrow. You have to wait until the next time I go. I have since discovered that it's a lot more time efficient for me because I'm not driving 3 times, standing in the line 3 times. So that one trip a week takes longer than those 3 individual trips, but just the hassle of getting there and parking and doing all that is non-existent. So I plan to stick with my once a week shopping even after this is all over. Are there other examples that you've either done research on or have heard from that people say, you know what? I didn't do it this way before. I'm doing it now, and I think I'm going to stick with it.
Absolutely. And you're on trend in terms of the frequency of grocery trips. The majority of consumers now have reduced the number of trips that they make. And so there's not that one-off runs for things that you missed, or people are turning to Amazon Prime or to Walmart Plus that just launched to get those individual items there. We also see, in terms of lasting trends, during COVID, we became a nation of home cooks. There just simply wasn't the same frequent. Restaurants were closed for a while, then they opened, but people are dining out less, doing less takeout. And that trend of making more meals at home, of sitting down as a family to meals, has continued to trend. And when you look at the content that consumers still most crave, it has to do with recipes, easy recipes, pantry cooking, things that are even innovative. And one of the things we've continued to see is a run on baking items. People are cooking at home. Same with home organizing and do-it-yourself projects. When you're spending a lot more time around your house, also with so many businesses closed, you then are just get passionate about fixing things up. People are running, you see sales surging at places like Home Depot and Lowe's as people are tackling those projects that never got done, or running out to home goods stores to redecorate by changing up the pillows on the couch. Anything that makes their space feel more livable, more organized, and also that gets some of those key projects done.
Yeah, we keep things pretty minimal here, sort of as a rule inside the house, but we did need to get some new bed sheets for our little boys. And so I went to Target and I said, oh, I needed like 2 white fitted twin bed sheets. And I thought, should be easy. Not a single one on the shelf. And I thought, am I in the right section? Am I like, and so I actually asked one of the workers and she said, oh yeah, if we had it, it would be here. There is no in the back, people are making whatever they have more beautiful. So she's like, we are selling more bed sheets, comforters, pillows, rugs, not super high investment, but still, look, if I can like my bedroom better for $50, I'll do it because I'm spending an awful lot more time there.
Exactly.
Is there anything you'd like to say about, are you seeing, I mean, I'm talking to you from the Bay Area in California, and things are starting to ease up, but they're still locked down pretty tight compared to what's happening in the rest of the country. For example, we have very few students in the classroom. We have restaurants just now starting to offer dine-in service, but with only 25% capacity.
Mm-hmm.
There are other parts of the country where it's far more open than it is here. Are you seeing anything happening in those parts of the country that may give us all some insight as to what will happen when we're all open for business again?
It's interesting what you're pointing out because many areas of the country have had surges, and so they'll loosen restrictions and then they'll tighten them. But even in places that have been less tight, the majority of kids are doing some form of education at home, and 60% of parents say that keeping their children entertained has become, and also focused on learning. So if you have a young child, trying to get them to sit down for Zoom has really interfered with work. And we're starting to see statistics of one parent having to make a choice, often the mom, to not return or to pull out of the workforce just to accommodate that. And everywhere there's still those 6 feet distancing where you see on the footprints of a retail store where to stand, how far apart, lines outside. And I think across the board, indoor reductions of dining, people are still cautious about what's happening inside, particularly with the winter months coming and people moving more indoors where it's seasonally colder. I think that it's going to be hard for those small businesses to keep up because they really have to rely on that takeout business. And so I think we're going to continue to see small business closures. There's still, the economy feels shut down.
Yeah. Very, very difficult to hear. Before we have to go, Stacy, are there any online resources that you'd like to point our viewers to who love to hear about consumer findings and trends as much as I do?
Absolutely. Come to my website. It's influence-central.com. We have a blog. We're always tapping our consumer insights panel and have tons of interesting insights and trends afoot.
I love it because sometimes I think, am I the only one? And then I see research like yours and I go, oh, I'm not the only one. I feel better. It's been a joy talking with you. Thank you again to Stacy DeBroff of Influence Central, the CEO there. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much.